see. This is what's going on today. I've got some Revive turbo cleaner and power restorer. I don't really think I'm missing any power. I don't really think the turbo's dirty, but I want to see if it does do anything. I'm doing it as a preventative measure for a problem that's not going to occur. Perfect waste of time. Anyway, this I'm going to put into my 330d to see if it has any effect. Now, this car is on quite a few miles. I can't remember, 180 odd thousand, something like that. And it does have a bit of turbo lag, but that's more down to by design than an actual issue. You know, it's just not bad turbo lag, it's just not as good as a 335d with a small turbo and a big turbo. Anyway, I'm going to try and put some of this through the engine and see what happens. See if it makes any smoke, see if it burns anything off, see if it makes any difference. Just for experiment's sake, as much as anything else. So to do so, I will start by opening the bonnet and revealing the engine. I'm going to have to take these out. There's 5 bolts holding this on, which is going to be in the way. And then, well, once this is out of the way, I'm going to have to disconnect the air intake. And that's where I'm going to spray it. That's where you've got to spray it. So let's get on with that. And that reveals more of, you know, the actual engine. I'll just point out that this car isn't sort of exactly fully standard. It's a M57N 6-speed with all the usual fucking deletes, and a decent map on it, a GKR map. And it does actually go alright. Now, what we are trying to achieve here is fixing something that isn't really broken. But this is our actuator on a turbo, and you can't really see it from here, but it's a bit of an oddball on this because it's a Euro 4 spec, so it has got an electronic actuator. Interesting. Maybe probably not interesting actually. Changed some injectors recently as well, but I've always had a bit of a flat spot load. No, I haven't had a flat spot. It's just got a bit of turbo lag, but like I say, it is by design. It's not actually an issue with it. You know, if you compare it to a 335d, as I've mentioned, my dad's got one of them, and it sort of sets off faster. It's more ready to go. I mean, this is actually a bit quicker. I mean, that's standard, but this is actually a little bit quicker when you give it balls deep. But when you're just driving normal, the turbo isn't as responsive, but it's not going to be. So anyway, this Revive stuff, this Revive stuff, which I didn't have in my hand when I was trying to point at it before, brilliant. It has to be sprayed, which I'll show you in a minute, but we need to spray it into this pipe. Now, this is the MAF sensor. Now, on this car, this is the air intake. It goes into the airbox and then comes out of that way, so the air is actually going that way at that point. So I need to disconnect that, take this out of the way, and then spray it into this pipe, which then will take it straight into the turbo. And it's not actually to clean the cold side of the turbo, it's to clean the hot side. So then once it goes through the turbo, right, it'll come out you can't see it, but it'll come out the high pressure side of the turbo. No, it'll be pushed out, and then it'll go through the intercooler, and then into the inlet, into the manifold, through the engine, and then into the hot side of the turbo, and that's where it's meant to clean the carbon from. It's supposed to work, this stuff. I mean, I've seen a lot of good feedback on it on the VAG stuff, which seem to do actually get seized up actuators on the VNT from carbon, and it does. Well, I've seen a few videos on it actually working on there. Better videos than what this one's going to be. So if you do actually want like a useful video on how to use this stuff, or does it work, you know, watch one of them ones, because like I said, I've not really got an issue what I'm fixing, but I will be seeing if it does make any difference at all. Anyway, let's get on with taking shit off. I need to take off this here, which is there's 2 Allen keys. First of all, I need to take this off. Right, that's in the way. Right, fuck that off. Bark it off. Pull that out of there. Right, and then there's 2 Allen keys. Out of focus. Great, still out of focus. Anyway, there's 2 Allen keys, one there and one there. So I need to remove those. And then this is where you drop the tools. Usually, anyway. Right, so this is the air intake, which is not all the way undone, but that is the air intake. There's a MAF sensor, which we're not going anywhere near because I'm going to point that over there somewhere. I haven't quite worked this out yet. Not quite sussed this out yet. But I need to spray the shit into there, don't I? I'm trying to take off as little as possible. It'll work. It'll go in. But I think it'll go in better if I actually take the MAF sensor completely out of the way. So this is a bonus part of this video, really. I mean, if you want to know how to change a MAF sensor on one of these, this is how you change a MAF sensor on one of these. There's 2 screws. I've taken one out under there and then one out there, basically mirroring each other. And they are not inverted Torx, but a 5mm. Yeah, fuck off. A 5mm hex. We'll take them out, no problem. And then there's a plug on top which has little tabs on it, which I've already squeezed. And then your MAF sensor's out of the way. Now I could, there's our MAF sensor. Oh, that's my MAF sensor, not yours. I could take this pipe fully out and try and get down there with the revive stuff directly into the turbo, but I'm gonna try and put it into there. Now, this car, this one will run fine with the MAF disconnected. Now it will throw a fault code up that I will have to reset. But if you ever have an issue with one of these and you suspect the MAF sensor might be faulty, and not just the MAF sensor fault, it can also show up if you have a boost leak or something like that. But if you actually unplug the MAF sensor and drive the car and it brings back the power, then the chances are you've got a faulty MAF sensor or a boost leak, pretty much. But that is another story for another day. For now, I'm going to try and do this turbo. What? It keeps on going out of focus, not sure why. I'm going to try and sort this turbo revive out. And to do that, I must open the box and have a look at what we've got inside. Right. We have a flap in the way. Sorry about why is it like that? Why? Anyway, so you've got to take the lid off to take it out the flap. Or you've got to rip the box, one or the other. Obviously you can't take it back, say you've not used it, fill it up with fucking, I don't know, Red Bull or piss, and say you haven't used it. Right, now this bottle has a little pumpy doofer, so you pump it up, you know, like to pressurise the bottle. And if you're using it that way up, it's a 3-stage do for this. If you're using it that way up, it's A, B and C, but I'm going to be using it upside down. So it's mine's, hold on, gone the wrong way, there we go, A, B and C, like that. And the instructions are actually, check that out, I got a bottle for 40 quid or whatever this cost. Got air freshener. And some, what else have we got? Is this instructions? Or is it actually, hey look, yeah, there's some instructions there. Right, because from what I saw, the instructions were actually, I can't get this out with my gloves on. I could just take my gloves off, or I could struggle. I'm choosing to do the second option. Right, this is what we've got to do. This is the process. Right, so we are on a cold engine, which it says. So a cold engine, after the MAF, yeah, sprayed in. Now, that is sort of self-explanatory from the pictures. Now, it says pump it up, wank the bottle off 25 times, approximately. Turn the engine on to 2,500 RPM, use up A, do it another 25 times, do it to 1,800 RPM, use up B, turn it off for 4 minutes, pump it up again, do it for 2000 RPM, and then what, drive? Right, yeah, so 2000 RPM using up C, then when you finish with C, hold it at 2000 RPM for a further 10 seconds, then let it tick over until smoke is reduced. And then put it back together and drive it. And it's telling you to drive it Italian tune-up style. So it's saying rev the shit out of it. So yeah, just to clarify that. So cold engine, use up A at 2,500 RPM, then use up B at 1,800 RPM, then turn it off for 4 minutes, then use C at 2,000 RPM, then rev it a little bit, let it tick over, turn it off, put it back together, drive it. That's pretty much it. So let's crack on with that shit. Right, so I've taken the lid off, which just unscrews, as is sort of, as you might expect. I don't know how lids work where you are. I'm in sunny Oldham, as you can see, and lids work by unscrewing usually, unless they're cork lids. Anyway, I tighten that up, then we lovingly pump it up 25 times approximately. As you can see, it pumping over into the bottle. Right, so we've got our fast idle device fitted, and now it's time to start it up. So 2000 RPMs. Right, drop it to 1800. Close enough. Yes, now turn it off. Right, and then wait 4 minutes. Right, so we've done the 2500 and the 1800. Now we're on the 4 minute section there. And then it's just a 2000 RPM section for C, and then drive the shitter. Fuck's sake. Just mention as well, I don't know what this stuff is, but it smells like some sort of detergent, to be honest with you. It just smells like some sort of detergent. You're smelling a fucking pub bathroom or something. Maybe if you throw them little piss blocks in there, that might work just as well. But no, got another couple of minutes left to wait. Right, so it's been the 4 minutes, so let's start it up and set it to 2000 then. Yeah. Until it runs out, and I'm getting fucking short. Right, wait 10 minutes and turn it off. Right, so that is the treatment pretty much done. I said treatment, I don't know if it actually treats anything. I'm learning as much as you. I said probably nothing. Got to put it all back together now, and then drive it. So let's put the shitter back together. So we've got our Maffington sensors, which needs to be replaced back to where it was removed from. I get it a wipe off with a rag as well, so it looks a bit cleaner. But I wouldn't recommend, unless you get some proper MAF cleaner. I don't think there is actually anything else that cleans a MAF sensor without wrecking it. They're pretty sensitive. Anyway, I'm just going to throw this back together because I need both hands for this. I think it's going to be easier. And I'm getting wet. It's fucking raining properly now. Put the screws back in under there and under there. Put this all back together. And then I will come back after I've done that. Right, so she's all back together. Now I need to go and take it, sling it round the block erotically. But first, I'm going to use this shitter to reset the EML, which I threw up because I run it without the map pumped in. These are about £3 or something. They don't do a lot, especially not when connected to an iPhone, which does limit you a lot, but they will reset the EMLs on most cars, or everything I've tried to so far anyway. So I'll go do that and then sling it around the block and see what it does. Right, no EML, and let's just go and see how it works. And we are back from our spirited drive. This stuff, so this turbo revive that I've put through, I forgot to mention earlier, by the way, you get a straw with it, and that is for, well, it says it in the instructions actually, but it's if you're using the bottle the other way up to what I did. So if you're not, well, you can picture how it works, can't you? It wants to push the fluid through the straw if you've got it the other way up. Anyway, does it work? Well, yeah, it definitely works. I wasn't really expecting anything, because I didn't really think there was any issue, to be honest with you. But the car isn't faster. I'm not saying it's faster. It's just that if you're driving, say, normally, and you put your foot down, the transition from driving normally, and then so the transition from, like, say you're driving normal and then you put your foot down, that transition just happens faster. So it's more like, it's more responsive, really, but not a little bit, it's quite a lot more responsive. I mean, I know I've reset the engine management light, but I did that last week or the week before when I changed the injectors as well, and that, you know, alright, that made a massive difference because I changed the injectors, but that was still running fine. It wasn't, you know, it's not just from resetting the light or anything like that and resetting any adaptations and what have you. It's definitely done something. I think it's just made them vanes, the variable geometry turbo. The way it works is inside the turbo, so this is your turbo wheel, around it you've got little vanes, and the angle of the vanes is what controls on a modern turbo. You've got angle of vanes so that it works over, you know, at, say, slower, less boost sort of thing, less power, less exhaust gas going into it. It changes the angle so it can turn the turbo at different rates, but when you're not on the power, it won't be giving you sort of full boost. You know, you're not demanding the boost. And I think all it does is, I think them vanes were not sticking to a point where they were causing it to stick. I just think it's made them easier to move, so that the turbo actuator is moving them faster. That's what's happening in my head. Probably completely wrong, but it has done something, and I am surprised. Didn't think it would. There's no point in showing like an acceleration comparison or anything like that, because I didn't take one before, for a start. And it's not so much when you put your foot down constantly that it makes any difference. It's just when you're driving, say, 30 miles an hour, and then you put your foot down, the boost just comes in faster. You know, it might be half a second or something, it might be a tenth of a second, but you can definitely notice the difference. Anyway, yeah, I won't stop talking shit. That's all I've got this week. I do sort of prefer doing the C1 videos usually, but this is something I just wanted to check. I wanted to test it for myself, and I thought I might as well make a video out of it while I'm here. So yeah, don't forget to have a look on Instagram, stupid bloke, stupid videos, underscores between everything, and comment, give us a shout, let us know if you've tried this and if it's worked really. I think if anything, Volkswagen people will know more about it than BMW people, but yeah, let us know. Anyway, see you next time, lad.